just said even 10 minutes is a long time to be away from you.
I heard you the first time. I like it. That's why I asked you to say it again.
Good evening. A newspaper editor uses every trick in the book to keep his ace reporter ex-wife from remarrying in His Girl Friday, a 1940 romantic comedy starring Cary Grant, Rosalind Russell, and Ralph Bellamy. The film was produced and directed by Howard Hawks for Columbia Pictures. Russell is rough-and-tumble reporter Hildy Johnson, looking to get out of the news racket by marrying and becoming a housewife after her divorce from newspaper publisher Walter Burns, played by Grant. Just when she is about to leave town with her husband-to-be, the still lovesick Burns drafts her to cover one final breaking news sensation. Along with plenty of laughs and fast-paced dialogue, this film provides a witty and cynical look at the news business. Director Howard Hawks had difficulty casting His Girl Friday. While the choice of Cary Grant was almost instantaneous, the casting of Hildy was a more extended process. At first, Hawks wanted Carole Lombard, whom he had directed in the screwball comedy 20th Century. But the cost of hiring Lombard in her new status as a freelancer proved to be far too expensive, and Columbia could not afford her. Katharine Hepburn, Claudette Colbert, Margaret Sullivan, Ginger Rogers, and Irene Dunn were all offered the role, but turned it down. Dunn rejected the role because she felt the part was too small and needed to be expanded. Jean Arthur was offered the part and was suspended by the studio when she refused to take it. Joan Crawford was even reportedly considered. Hawks then turned to Rosalind Russell, who had just finished MGM's The Women. Russell was upset when she discovered from a New York Times article that Columbia Pictures president Harry Cohn was stuck with her after attempting to cast many other actresses. Before Russell's first meeting with Hawks, to show her apathy, she took a swim and entered his office with wet hair, causing him to do a triple take. Russell confronted him about this casting issue. He dismissed her quickly and asked her to go to wardrobe. As filming began, Russell felt that Hawks treated her like an also-ran, so she confronted him again. "You don't want me, do you? Well, you're stuck with me, so you might as well make the most of it." Russell was insecure during the first days of filming, knowing that she had been so far down on the list of choices for the female lead. Making matters worse was the fact that Hawks watched her initial scenes with Cary Grant without making any comment. Finally, she expressed her frustration to Grant, who counseled, "If he didn't like it, he'd tell you." When she asked Hawks how he felt about her work, he said, "You just keep pushing him around the way you're doing." That was enough to put her at ease. Russell also believed, while shooting, that she didn't have as many good lines as Cary Grant, so she hired an advertising copywriter through her brother-in-law and had him write more clever lines for the dialogue. Since Hawks allowed for spontaneity and ad-libbing, he and many of the other cast and crew didn't even notice it. But Grant knew she was up to something, leading him to greet her every morning with, "What have you got today?" His Girl Friday is one of the first films, preceded by Stage Door in 1937, to have characters talk over the lines of other characters for a more realistic sound. Prior to this, movie characters completed their lines before the next lines were started. To maintain the fast pace, Howard Hawks encouraged his cast to add dialogue and funny bits of business and step on each other's lines whenever possible. His Girl Friday is a movie intentioned for speed. It set the record on fastest words spoken per minute in a movie. It is estimated that the normal rate of verbal dialogue in most films is around 90 words per minute. To capture the film's fast-paced dialogue clearly, Hawks decided to use multiple microphones rather than one overhead boom mic. Since the microphones couldn't be turned on simultaneously, a sound technician had to switch from mic to mic on cue. Some scenes required as many as 35 switches. In His Girl Friday, the delivery has been clocked at 240 words a minute.
I haven't any hard feelings.
Oh, Walter, you're wonderful in a loathsome sort of way. Now, will you please be quiet just long enough for me to tell you what I came up here to say? I have a lunch date already. I cannot break it. Will you take your hands off me? What are you playing, osteopath?
Temper.
Oh, listen, Walter. You are no longer my husband and no longer my boss.
With all of the improvisation during shooting, cameraman Joseph Walker had a hard time keeping up. He had a particular problem shooting Rosalind Russell in a flattering manner, since he never knew exactly where she was going to be. The actress had sagging jowls that required careful lighting. Ultimately, he got her makeup artist to paint a dark shadow along her jawline, which camouflaged the problem effectively. One scene required Cary Grant to push Rosalind Russell onto a couch. Howard Hawks asked the actor to try shoving her harder. When Grant protested that he didn't want to kill her, Hawks said, Try killing her. The film finished shooting 7 days behind schedule. The delays were mainly caused by the complexity of shooting the rapid-fire dialogue, which had to be carefully timed with business and movement. The restaurant scene, in which Burns takes Hildy and Bruce Baldwin, played by Ralph Bellamy, to lunch, took 4 days to shoot. The original schedule had only allotted 2 days for the scene. Release of the film was rushed by Cohn, and a sneak preview of the film was held in December, with a press screening on January 3, 1940. His Girl Friday premiered in New York City at Radio City Music Hall on January 11, 1940, and went into general American release a week later. Contemporary reviews from critics have been very positive. His Girl Friday was number 19 on the American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Laughs. It was selected in 1993 for preservation in the United States National Film Registry of the Library of Congress as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And Premiere Magazine voted this movie as one of the 50 greatest comedies of all time in 2006. Until next time, this is Paul Gannis. The popcorn is hot. Enjoy the film.
Well, I can see right away my wife picked out the right husband for herself. How do you do, sir?
Must be some mistake. I'm already married.